Hello everybody. Sorry about the not sideways video. I know I hear a lot of complaints when I do the videos this way, but it's the only way I could stay up while I'm traveling. Just want to give you an update. My last few days here in the US. Planning to head back to Russia here about the next 10 days, a little over 10 days. So trying to wrap things up here. Came home for the holidays. Spend some time with my family. Of course, all of my university age kids all spent time with me, and that was enough. So I'm gonna head back and wrapping up what's going on here. Give you a little update on what I've been doing. Of course, it's in the U.S. It's tax season is coming up very quickly, so we have to get all of our books in order. And that's an expression, of course, but in reality, it's the truth. We have to get our books in order. I have to balance the accounts. I have a CPA who does a lot of work, but they don't do 100% of everything. So we have to make sure things are all in order, and that's what we've been doing. And we're almost there. We're still not done. Taxes are due for businesses March 15th. Personal is due April 15th. So I'm running out a little bit of time, but we've done what we could, and we're using a new accounting firm, and they don't really know our business, so they're calling things what they're not really supposed to be calling it, and it's a bit of a mess. And I stopped one business and started a new business. Just basically changed the name. Everything's the same except for legally speaking, it's a new entity, so we have to stop and start, close bank accounts, open bank accounts, and it's a lot. And then I have 3 other small businesses that we have to do returns for. So it's a bit of a mess, and I'm hoping next year I won't have to come back specifically for that reason, but I suspect I might have to do that at least for a bit to make sure everything's in orders until my other attorneys can kind of take over that responsibility. But even one of my attorneys who's helping me with that, it's his major responsibility. He's learning what it is, but he doesn't have any accounting experience, and he's almost there. I think maybe next year he might be, but we'll see. But my home in Lipetsk is coming along. It's livable at this point. They have finished the bathroom. The kitchen's being installed as we speak, and one downstairs bedroom is being finished, so my office, so I can at least have a couch/bed, desk, and I can work a little bit there and have a kitchen and a bathroom with a shower. And then they can work on the rest of the house over the spring and get it done. And I've got some news about Moscow, my apartment in Moscow. There might be some update going on with that, but you'll have to see that when the time comes. My wife always says, don't talk about things that in the future, because the more you do, the more likely they won't happen. So I don't know if that's some Russian tradition or what, or just her wisdom, but I'm going to listen to her. But some changes are going to happen then, and I've got 2 business prospects in Lipetsk that I'm looking at. One of them's pretty easy to do if I want to do it, and the other one would be a very long-term prospect. I'm not sure yet, but I guess for you, people looking into my life, it's just knowing that I've got some businesses I'm going to open in Lipetsk, at least one. We'll see. And it's interesting, a lot of people are like, oh wow, you're going to go to Lipetsk, open business and get wealthy, and I kind of laugh at that, because it's a very hard thing to do in Russia. Even if you have an extremely successful business in Russia, unless you're an oligarch, you're not going to get rich off of it. Yeah, sure, you're going to live nice, but that takes years and years and years to develop. And for me, I want to open a business in Russia in general, but Moscow is takes too much money, and that's just going to be too complicated. So Lipetsk is a much better choice, and wasn't my choice by any means. It's where my lovely wife wanted to build her farm, so that's where we're going to do it. So I am going to use what my wife allows me to use. So Lipetsk it is. And it's inexpensive to open up a business. When I say a business, I mean one of them's just like a coffee shop, nothing crazy. And if I can get the coffee shop up and running, I have a local guy who's going to help me with that. So that way I don't have to be there every day, but it'll be my business, and I may, just have him help me do the day-to-day operations, or somebody. And the other business is much bigger. It would be more of an event center, and that one I would partner up with someone in Lipetsk to do. And that one's a lot more money and a lot more time and a lot more involvement. But I may do both. I may do the one that's more instant that I can get going in a couple months, and then the other one would be a couple of years. Of course, the struggle in Russia is getting capital into Russia. That's difficult. Raising the capital is easy. I have it. It's just getting it there is just, it's, other than shoving it in your underwear and declaring it, it's hard. So I'm working on that. And the purpose of me doing the business, as I was saying, wasn't to get rich in Russia by any means. It's more of just to have something to do. What is this? Stony Boots Delat. I need something to do. If not, I'm just going to sit around and get fatter and drink more and eat more, and that's just not healthy for anybody. So I need something, a reason, to not necessarily get up. I get up fine, but a reason to do something more than just watch YouTube and try and learn Russian, which I'm very successful at watching YouTube, and I fail miserably at learning Russian, but I'm trying to do both. And combine the two, what I like to do, watch TV and learn Russian, so I do a lot of that. But of course I take classes and lessons, so I'm not just relying on YouTube. But that's my goal, and it's very difficult to operate several small businesses in the US, and the dream of having a few small businesses in Russia, it requires a lot of travel back and forth, but that's what I'm going to do. Now, my business here is technically a small business, but we have 12 employees. There's 5 attorneys, 6 counting me, and then we have a support staff of, depends on what day of the week, but we have 5. Trying to hire another one in the US. I just cannot tell you how difficult it is to find good help in the US. And no, I'm not paying peanuts. I'm paying a pretty good salary. I'm talking about for a entry-level secretary, or sorry, in the US we don't use that word, administrative assistant. We are looking for someone with a little bit of experience, or at least a little bit of intelligence to learn how to do, not necessarily complicated stuff, but to not consistently make mistakes and not know that you're making mistakes. We need someone a little better, but it's hard. It's very difficult. So we struggle with that, and I think it's a good working atmosphere. You're inside, it's nice, you don't have a lot of people bothering you, it's just boring. And I think that's the main thing, is it's boring for people. But I'm still working on it. But so that's a struggle. And as far as the practice of law, my attorneys are all perfectly capable and doing a really good job of running my firm on that level. On the business side of it, it's not everybody's forte to be a businessman. Just because you're a great attorney doesn't mean you're a great businessman, and just because you're a great businessman doesn't mean you're a great attorney. I would think that I'm a little bit good at both. Maybe not great at both, but I am definitely good enough at both. I would say in my later years, my role is more of the overall management and making sure that clients still like us, and making sure that our operations and flows are built to sustain what we got. And it's nice that I came back. I was gone for almost 7 months. It was really nice to come back, because I could see some of the practices that people were doing weren't quite the way that I set them up to do. They started deviating. Nothing major, but it's the small things that once you start deviating from, that will cause problems. And I went to court a lot. I did a couple videos of me going to court, and it was the first time I've been to court in 7 months, and 6 months, I guess, about there. I did some remote stuff, but it was the first time physically going, and I noticed some of the documents that get us ready for court weren't the right forms that we normally use. And I'm like, hey, why are we using this? Why aren't we doing that? And of course I get a lot of we don't need it. We kind of know what we're doing. We don't need it. And I'm like, it's not, it's 17 years setting the system up. This isn't, we have forms and things for a reason. They're not just about you. They're about the people that see that same form when you're done. And no. So I've had to kind of say, why are we changing the way we do things? Now, if you can have a system that you think is better than my system, then we'll make that our new system. But you just don't stop using my system. And by the way, my system, it's been years of other people improving my system. It's not my way or the highway. I'm one of the things that I'm successful at is making sure I surround myself with people who are smarter than me, and I have that, and I'm wise enough to listen to them, and that's how my forms get there. It's like, hey, why don't we add this to the form? Why don't we do this? Or this form's not working. So I do that, but just to stop using my forms and procedures, just not going to fly. And just a small example of things that have changed, and I don't like it. And our procedures, like to give you a small example, we go to court, we get a contested trial date. Okay, we come back from court, we immediately let our clients know, email, hey, contested trial date is like July 27th. And a week before that trial date, we send out another email, hey, just let you know your trial is the 27th, it's coming up. And then a day before the trial, hey, don't forget we have trial tomorrow, it's at 2:00. Do you know what courtroom it's courtroom, but do you know what court this is? Do you need the address or anything like that? That's our procedure. So there's 3 different periods that we've told them there's a court date. And then I come back and find out they're sending out the original, hey, your court date's on the 27th of July, and just hope they show up. And my guys, that's not going to work. Look, we have so many procedures and calendars, and we have meetings about our calendars just to make sure we don't miss court dates. How do you think someone like that's going to keep up with their normal business? Because when you have a contested trial and the business that we do, it's landlord tenant and collections, car lots and things. All these people have a whole business to run. Coming to court is a nuisance to their business. It stops them from running their business to come deal with this small detail, this nuance of their business. Of course, it's a necessary part of their business, but it's not something they want to do. So it's not something that they're thinking about, and they will forget about court dates all the time. So it's our job to remind them. And that's just another procedure that I have in place that people aren't in my office aren't quite following. So, and I don't know this until I come back and I'm like, hey, when did we got that trial coming up? Did you let the client know? Oh no. What do you mean no? It's in 2 days. Did you let them know last week? Oh no. Well, they know it because I sent the email out 3 weeks ago. I'm like, no, that's not how this works. So anyways, so it's good for me to come back every once in a while, and not just to come back and sit in my office and look at the books and things. It's good for me to actually go to court, get involved in the process, see how they're prepping things, see how they're dealing with it afterwards, the invoicing, because we got a lot of clients who don't pay us. And if I'm not the one, and I do this when I'm abroad, this is one of the things I do. But, if I don't sit there and say, hey, so-and-so hasn't paid, what are we going to do? We need to cut them off. We need to send them a letter. We need to call so-and-so. People don't do it. Now, I have one of my main attorneys who does do that. But we've been really busy the last few months, and he's just been busy, so he hasn't had time to get to it. So it takes me to remind him. And with good news, I made another one of my attorneys an equity partner January 1. So now there's 3 technical owners of my business. They have a small percent. They have less than 10% each, but nonetheless, they're owners, and which is really good for me because it allows me to say, hey, you guys aren't running my business for me. It's our business, and we're running it together. And they understand that I'm running it less and less, more of the top level, and they're the day-to-day people. But they're doing pretty good at it. We've had I didn't mean for this video to turn into an annual review of my business, but I was driving, so I wanted to tell you what's going on. But we had a very large year of IT updates. We updated our software, which has taken forever, still not done. It's supposed to be done before the new year, and it's still not done. Something many businesses have done years ago. I get it, I'm behind, but we're going to the cloud. So we'll have our server in the cloud. Nothing will be stored in our office. And the reason we've been slow about it is it's not an easy process. But now we need to upgrade our software, and our new software, same company, only works in the cloud. So we'll be able to. The goal is we'll be able to get some bigger clients that require more strict IT compliance, security compliance. And with that, we've spent a ton of money. We have spent most of our profits on this, so it decreased our profits, which is fine. I mean, we spent well over $100,000 just in IT upgrades, which is okay. Hopefully, we're going to see the benefit of that. And the new software has a new SQL database, so it'll be a lot better to do tasks. And then second, we merged, or I essentially bought a law firm from an attorney who is retiring over the next few years. So we've took over his practice, and he's going to stay on board. He is staying on board, and he's been working full time for us. And over the next few years, he'll slowly work less and less, but we're going to take over his client base, which we already have. And so that's made us even more busy, but that comes with some cost as well. We had to move his database data over to our database data to merge with our data, and that was not just that a flip of a button. That took a lot of data IT work to make sure his data field parameters match our data field parameters, and that was about $30,000 to do that. It was not cheap. It's a lot of data. So it's been a very in sports we call it a growing year. If you have you're not going to win championships, but you got to do a lot of investments to make sure you can win them in the next few years. That's our goal. So we had a rebuilding year, we call it. So hopefully the next that will come out in the next few months swinging really, because we'll be able, with this new database, we'll be able to do some data flow and office management flow mixed with our AI. We spent a lot on AI, but the good news is we worked on our AI over a year ago. So believe it or not, we were ahead of the curve with AI. Now you're seeing AI all over the place. However, we got into that a while back, which is really good. And what our AI does is goes in and automatically does a lot of our paperwork, our documents, and not only does the documents, but also files them with courts electronically. No one has to type in, get into the software, drag, type in the title. It does all of that automatic. And we also got a new machine to print out our notices for the lawsuits in accordance with what court wants what copies on what day, and it prints it automatically like the night before or in the very early in the morning, and it's just sitting on a printer exactly the way it needs to be. We could take it to court and get it served. So we've had a lot of technology updates, and I'm hoping that does well. The good news is we did grow last year, even without the merge of the new attorney. We grew. We did about 20% more, around 20% more in revenue. However, our costs were so much more, it didn't increase our profits. But nonetheless, for the way it works for my office, when you get new accounts and things, you don't necessarily make money the first year. It keeps building and building. So this is a good sign. So if we can maintain a 20% growth next year, or even a 10% growth next year, and reduce our costs, we should have a substantial increase in our profit margin, which was the whole goal of investing in it to our firm. But anyways, that's what's going on with the firm. And then my other businesses kind of run themselves. It's rental properties. Those are kind of boring. One's fully rented, no problem. The other one is, we got one vacancy, and my law office is actually taking some of the space, but we got one vacancy left. And in this market, office space is horrible. But we bought the building. Well, we basically got the building for free from when my building was purchased in downtown Carmel. So it's okay. It's just extra. It doesn't cost me anything. Even to sit empty, it doesn't cost me anything. Whenever we get it rented, it'll be extra money, but that'll be nice. So all of this has allowed me to, keep going back and forth to Russia and the U.S. And now I'm going to go back to Russia, unfortunately only for about 3 months. I have to be back for my daughter's graduation in May. And then I'll be here for a couple months during the summer, and then I'm going to go back for my long stay. So my goal in life is to be in Moscow or Russia about 7 months out of the year. I'll be in Russia, and then I'll have 3 months out of the year, 3 to 4 months out of the year to be in the U.S., and then that'll leave me 1 month out of the year approximately to travel outside of Russia and the US, which I hope to do in the summer. My son's going to be in Germany for school for part of the summer, and I'm hoping to meet him in Germany and travel to Prague, and then hopefully, he already has a visa to Russia. My hopes are to bring him back to Russia for 2 or 3 weeks, which was our plan last year, but his mom didn't like what was going on, and she somehow thinks that Russia's going to take him and make him be part of the army or something weird. But I understand a mom's fears, so I didn't get too angry, but now I think it's fine. So that's my goal. Sorry for the weird video in the car, but just wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you. I know some people I've seen some comments on my YouTube channel. They're like, why do you say Russian and American in Russia, but you're in America? So now you know why. I need to come back. I'm required by Russia with my residency to live in Russia for 6 months and 3 days, no matter what. And so I will never be in Russia less than 6 months and 3 days. My goal, of course, is just to make it 7, so I don't have to worry about counting the proper days. But so that's what's going on with me. I'll give another update before I go. And that's it. Leave your questions there.